Kathy is 9 years old and was born blind. She's never seen anyone's face. But what she shaped with modeling clay stunned her own parents. A miracle of the Virgin Mary that no one can explain. Before we continue, share in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is there. Let's see how far the miracles of the Virgin Mary have reached. And if you haven't yet joined our family, subscribe now, because here, each day, we witness the tender love and mighty power of the Mother of God. Her name was Anna Whitaker, 9 years old, living with her parents in a quiet corner of rural Virginia, where autumn turned the hills red and gold and neighbors still waved from porches. Anna had been blind since birth, congenital cortical visual impairment, the doctors explained years ago. No damage to the eyes themselves, but the brain never learned to process what the optic nerves sent. Darkness was her normal, not tragic to her, just normal. She knew her world through other channels. The low rumble of the garage door when her father came home from the high school where he taught history. The sharp scent of coffee her mother brewed each morning before leaving for her shift managing the local department store. The cool tile under her bare feet in the kitchen versus the thick carpet in the living room that swallowed sound. People she recognized by touch. When someone new entered the house, she stepped forward, hands raised, and traced their face slowly. Forehead, eyebrows, bridge of nose, cheekbones, jawline, lips. That was how she saw. Her mother, Laura Whitaker, 39, handled everything with steady efficiency. At work, she fixed inventory errors, calmed upset customers, covered shifts when someone called in sick. At home, she kept the same calm control, brailled labels on pantry jars. A strict routine so Anna could move through the house alone, kitchen to hallway to stairs to bedroom, without hesitation. Laura loved her daughter fiercely. Anna was the reason she came home smiling after 12-hour days. Her father, Michael, 42, balanced her. Soft-spoken history teacher who could make the Battle of Gettysburg feel immediate and personal to a room of restless teenagers. At home, he moved slower, thought longer, listened more. He and Laura fit together that way. Her quick decisions, his careful consideration. Anna stayed at the center of both their worlds. The house had been adapted carefully over the years. Textured stickers on light switches. Talking clock in the kitchen. A small bell on the back door so Anna knew when it opened. Inside those walls, she was independent. Outside was different. The street felt unpredictable, gravel underfoot, cars passing, dogs barking from yards she couldn't see. She asked once to walk the 2 houses down to the neighbors alone. "It's 30 steps, Dad." I counted. Michael knelt to her level. "I know you counted, but I'm walking with you." Anna sighed the way children do when they know arguing won't change the answer. She took his hand, and they went together. School brought its own challenges. Classmates helped her find her desk, read worksheets aloud, guide her to the cafeteria line. Anna accepted help politely, but it weighed on her. She never complained. She simply wanted to do more herself. One Saturday in mid-October, the air carried the first real bite of fall. Laura decided to tackle the basement. Boxes had piled up for years. Old holiday decorations, books, clothes no one wore. She wanted the space usable again, maybe for a reading corner or storage shelves. Anna came down to help. "Mom, what's in this one?" Anna asked, hands already on a dusty cardboard box sealed with yellowed tape. "That's from your grandmother," Laura said. "Let me open it." Anna's grandmother, Laura's mother, had died 4 years earlier. A woman who attended daily mass, kept a rosary draped over her bedpost, prayed the beads each evening with quiet certainty. Laura had loved her deeply. When the funeral ended, something in Laura closed. She boxed her mother's things, carried them to the basement, and shut the lid on more than cardboard. She cut the tape now. Inside, a silver hairbrush with a few white strands still caught in the bristles, 3 worn hardcover novels, a velvet jewelry case, a leather Bible with underlined passages, a dark bead rosary, and at the bottom, wrapped in an old pillowcase, a small oil painting. Laura lifted it out. About 16 inches tall. The Virgin Mary, young, gentle, hands joined in prayer, light blue mantle draped over her head and shoulders, face peaceful. Paint slightly worn at the corners from years of candle smoke and handling, but the expression still clear. Anna reached out. What is it? Laura placed the frame in her daughter's hands. Anna ran her fingertips over the canvas. Raised brush strokes, smooth varnish in places, wooden edge of the frame. It's a painting, Laura said, of the Virgin Mary. Your grandmother's. Anna tilted her head. What does she look like? Laura sat on the cold concrete floor beside her. She described slowly, she's young. Beautiful in a quiet way. Serene eyes that look like they understand everything. A small smile. Hair covered by a soft blue mantle that falls over her shoulders. Hands together here. Laura touched the center of the painting, like she's praying. Anna kept her fingers on the surface a long moment. Laura watched her daughter's face, concentrated, listening, memorizing with touch instead of sight. They carried the box upstairs. Laura set the painting on a side table in the living room behind a vase of dried flowers, Bible and rosary beside it. Life continued. School, work, suppers, bedtime stories. But the image stayed in Anna's mind, not as something seen, as something felt, described once, held once, remembered. 3 weeks after the basement discovery, Anna's art teacher introduced modeling clay to the 4th grade class. Most children squeezed it into balls, rolled snakes, or pressed it into flat pancakes. For Anna, it became something more precise. She started with simple shapes, animals first. A dog with floppy ears she shaped by feel, remembering the neighbor's golden retriever from the way its fur felt under her fingers when it came to the fence. A cat with pointed triangles for ears and a long tail that curved just right. A bird with wings half spread, feathers suggested by tiny ridges she pressed with her thumbnail. The teacher watched quietly. Anna's pieces had form, proportion, balance, expression even in the simplest lines. Then she began faces. Not random, deliberate. She worked them in silence during every art period, head bent close, fingers moving slow and sure. Classmates asked once or twice, "What are you making?" "I don't know yet," Anna answered each time. But she did know. She started with an oval base for the head, pressed gently to smooth the surface, built the forehead high and calm, shaped the nose straight and fine, just a slight bridge, formed the mouth small, lips curved in the faintest upward line. Eyes came next, almond-shaped, lids softly lowered, no pupils but a gentle slope that suggested looking forward with quiet attention. She added hair in long, smooth strands that fell on either side of the face. Then the mantle, fabric draped over the head, flowing down over the shoulders, edges folded with careful creases she felt for with her fingertips. Each detail took time. She worked layer by layer. If something felt wrong, she scraped it away with her fingernail and tried again. No rush, no frustration, just patience. The teacher walked past her table every class, looked without speaking, felt something shift in the room each time the piece grew. The emerging face carried serenity, peaceful, knowing, almost present. Home life moved in its familiar pattern. Breakfast with the talking clock announcing the time. School bus pickup at the corner. Supper at 6. Homework read aloud by Laura or Michael. Bedtime story in Braille. The painting stayed on the side table behind the vase. Laura never moved it. Anna never asked about it again. But the single description her mother gave that day in the basement stayed inside her, stored the way she stored every texture, every voice, every scent point. One Thursday afternoon, Anna came home with her backpack heavier than usual. Laura noticed when she lifted it from Anna's shoulders to hang on the hook by the door. "What's in here?" "Bricks. My art project," Anna said. Laura carried the bag to the kitchen table. Anna stood beside her, hands loose at her sides. Laura unzipped the top, reached in, pulled out a package wrapped in damp paper towels. She unwrapped it layer by layer. Set the clay sculpture on the table. A woman's face, about the size of an open hand. Serene eyes tilted gently downward. Delicate nose. Small, knowing smile. Hair falling smooth on both sides. A mantle covering the head and draping over the shoulders. Every line exact. Every proportion balanced. The expression peaceful in a way that made the kitchen feel suddenly still. Laura stared. She reached for the painting behind the vase, brought it to the table, placed it beside the clay face. The two matched. Not close. Exact. The tilt of the eyes. The curve of the mouth. The way the mantle folded. Anna had never seen the painting. Never run her fingers over it more than once. Never asked for another description. Anna, Laura said quietly. I'm here, Mom. Who is this? The Virgin Mary. Laura's throat tightened. How do you know what she looks like? You told me. In the basement. Remember? Laura remembered. One description. One time. Months ago. I don't know how you did this, Laura whispered. Anna touched the clay face lightly, fingers tracing the same path she had used to build it. When I put my hands on the clay, I just knew. Laura sat down hard in the nearest chair. Michael arrived 40 minutes later. He walked into the kitchen, saw Laura frozen at the table, saw the painting and the sculpture side by side. What happened? Laura pointed. Anna made this. In art class. Michael leaned close, studied the clay, studied the painting, looked back at his daughter standing calm in the doorway. She never saw it, he said. I know. Then how? Laura shook her head once. No answer came. That night after Anna went to bed, they sat together in the living room. Sculpture on the coffee table between them, painting propped behind it. We never took her to church, Laura said suddenly. Michael nodded. Never prayed with her. Never read Bible stories. Never talked about any of it. And she made this. They looked at the face their daughter had shaped. No explanation fit. No logic covered it. Laura reached for the rosary on the table. Dark beads worn smooth from years of use. She held it a moment. I don't even know how to pray anymore, she said. Michael looked at her. Neither do I. They sat in silence. The house quiet except for the low hum of the refrigerator. The clay face stayed on the table all night. Neither moved it. The sculpture stayed on the coffee table for days. Laura never moved it. Michael walked past it every morning on his way to make coffee and every evening before turning off the lights. They did not discuss it much at first. Words felt too small for what sat between them in clay and paint. Anna continued as always. School, homework read aloud, supper at the round table, bedtime routine unchanged. But something in the house had shifted. Not loud, not sudden, just present. Laura noticed small things first. The way Anna turned her face toward the kitchen window when morning sun came through the curtains. The way she paused sometimes, head tilted slightly, as though listening to light instead of sound. One Saturday in late November, Anna sat on the back porch steps while Laura raked leaves in the yard. The sun stood low and bright. Anna lifted one hand, held it flat in front of her eyes the way sighted people do to block glare. Laura dropped the rake. Metal tines clattered on frozen grass. Anna? Anna lowered her hand. I'm okay, Mom. Did the sun hurt your eyes? It didn't hurt, but I felt it. Something different. Laura crossed the yard in quick steps, knelt in front of her daughter. Different how? Like there was something there that wasn't there before. Laura took both of Anna's hands. They stayed outside until the light faded, then went in. Michael came home 20 minutes later. Laura met him at the door. She shielded her eyes from the sun. Michael looked past her to the living room, where Anna sat on the rug with her Braille reader. You're sure? She did it twice. They scheduled the ophthalmologist for Monday. The same specialist Anna had seen every year since she was 2. The doctor ran the usual tests: pupil response, light perception, tracking with a penlight. He paused longer than normal when he checked the optic nerve response. There's activity, he said finally. Laura leaned forward. Activity. Minimal, but measurable. Evoked potentials show signal where we've never recorded any before. Michael spoke quietly. What does that mean? It means something is different in the visual pathway. I can't say how much or how permanent. We need more tests. A neuro-ophthalmologist. Possibly an MRI to rule out structural change. Will she see? Laura asked directly. The doctor met her eyes. I can't promise functional vision. Not yet. But where there was nothing, now there is something. That's significant. We monitor closely. They left the office in silence. Anna sat in the back seat, hands folded in her lap. I know there's something in my eyes, Mom, she said on the drive home. Laura glanced in the rearview mirror. How long have you known? A few days. I didn't know what to call it. I've never felt this before. Michael reached back, squeezed her knee once. We're going to find out what it is. The neuro-ophthalmologist confirmed the findings 2 weeks later. Subtle but consistent signals along the optic pathway. No tumor. No inflammation. No obvious cause. The doctor started a monitoring schedule, monthly visits, repeat evoked potentials, visual field mapping adapted for low-vision patients. In the first week, Anna began distinguishing light from dark reliably. On came the kitchen light. She turned toward it. Lights off. She relaxed. In the second week, shapes appeared. Vague. Blurry, like forms seen through heavy fog. Someone walked past her in a lit room. She tracked the movement. A door opened. She perceived the rectangle of brighter light. Nothing clear. Nothing detailed. Still legally and functionally blind. But the darkness had edges now. A door had cracked open where none had existed. Laura started praying again. Not formally at first. 5 minutes each morning at the kitchen table before anyone woke. She held her mother's rosary, dark beads cool against her palm, and spoke simple words. I don't know if I'm doing this right. I don't know if you're listening. But Anna made something I can't explain. And now this. If it's from you, thank you. If it's not, please help us understand. She forgot phrases sometimes. Started over. It didn't matter. She showed up. Michael watched her from the doorway one morning. Said nothing. Later that week, he stood in front of the painting on the living room wall, now hung at eye level where everyone who entered could see it, and looked a long time. He did not pray, but he did not turn away either. Anna kept sculpting. The teacher sent home more clay. She worked on small animals again, then started another face, smaller, simpler, but still careful. One afternoon in the kitchen, the scent came. Roses. Sudden. Full. Sweet enough to fill the room like someone had carried in an armful of fresh blooms. No flowers stood anywhere. Windows closed against the November chill. Anna stopped moving her hands on the clay. What's that smell? Laura turned from the sink. What smell? Roses. Strong ones. Laura inhaled. Nothing. She crossed to Anna, knelt beside her. I don't smell anything, honey. Anna tilted her head. It's real. I know it is. The scent held perhaps 20 seconds, long enough to make the air feel different, then vanished. Anna went back to her clay. She never mentioned it again. But Laura did. That night she told Michael. She smelled roses. In the kitchen, no flowers, no candles. Michael looked at the sculpture on the shelf, then at the painting beside it. I believe her, he said simply. Weeks turned into months. Anna's gains stayed small but steady. Light and shadow reliable. Large shapes, furniture outlines, windows, doors, vague but present. Movement detectable if someone passed close in good light. Faces still impossible. Reading impossible. Navigation without cane or guide impossible. Yet every new perception felt like a gift received one thin layer at a time. Laura attended Sunday Mass more often. Not every week, but often enough that the priest began to recognize them. She took Anna sometimes. Michael came along twice, sat quietly in the pew, listened to the readings, watched Anna turn her face toward the choir when they sang. At the entrance stood a simple plaster statue of Our Lady, hands open, mantle blue. Each time they passed it, Anna stopped, reached up, traced the face slowly with both hands. It's her, she said every time. Laura smiled. I know. They entered together. Anna's changes continued in small, measured steps over the following months. Light and shadow stayed reliable. She turned toward any bright window without thinking. Large forms grew clearer in good light. The outline of the refrigerator when she entered the kitchen, the rectangular shape of the front door when it stood open, the bulk of the couch in the living room. Movement registered if someone passed within a few feet. Her head tracked it slowly, like following a sound she could almost see. Faces remained impossible. Details blurred into soft edges. Reading stayed out of reach. Navigation without her cane or a guiding hand stayed impossible. She remained legally blind, functionally dependent on touch and sound for most things. Yet every new layer of perception felt like a quiet gift, one she accepted without fanfare. She kept sculpting. The teacher sent home extra clay each week. Anna worked on small animals again. Rabbits with long ears she shaped from memory of petting one at a school fair. Birds with wings she pressed thin and delicate. Then she returned to faces. Simpler ones this time. A classmate's round cheeks. Her teacher's high forehead. Each piece carried the same careful patience she had used for the Virgin Mary. One afternoon, in the kitchen, the scent returned. Roses again, sudden and full, wrapping the room like fresh-cut stems carried through an open door. No bouquet stood on the counter. No candle burned. Windows sealed against the December chill. Anna paused, hands still on the clay. "Mom?" Laura turned from the stove. "What is it?" "Roses. Strong ones. Right here." Laura inhaled deeply. Nothing reached her. She crossed to Anna, knelt beside the table. "I don't smell anything, sweetheart." Anna tilted her head, nostrils flaring slightly. "It's real." "I know it is." The fragrance held 20, maybe 30 seconds, thick enough to change the air, then faded completely. Anna went back to her work. Laura stayed kneeling a moment longer, watching her daughter's fingers move. She said nothing, but she carried the moment with her the rest of the day. Laura began attending Sunday Mass more regularly. Not every week. Life still pressed with work shifts and school routines, but often enough that the usher at the back door began nodding in recognition. She took Anna with her when the schedule allowed. Michael joined twice in December. He sat beside them in the pew, hands folded, listened to the readings, watched Anna turn her face toward the choir when the organ swelled and voices rose. At the entrance stood a simple plaster statue of Our Lady, hands open, mantle blue, about 3 feet tall. Each time they passed it, Anna stopped. She reached up on tiptoe, traced the carved face slowly with both hands. Forehead, closed eyes, gentle mouth, the fold of the veil. Every time she smiled the same small, certain smile. "It's her," she said. Laura rested a hand on her shoulder. "I know." They entered the church together. The conversations at home grew deeper without anyone forcing them. One evening after supper, Laura cleared the table while Michael loaded the dishwasher. Anna had gone upstairs to listen to her audiobook. "Do you think it was a miracle?" Laura asked quietly. Michael closed the dishwasher door. Thought a moment. "I think something happened that doesn't fit anything I was taught to expect. And I'm all right with that." Laura smiled across the kitchen. "Since when are you all right without an explanation?" "Since our blind daughter shaped a face she never saw. And since she started seeing light she never had before." They stood in silence. The clay sculpture watched from the shelf beside the painting. Small, imperfect up close, perfect in its quiet presence. Laura kept praying each morning. 5 minutes, sometimes 10. Rosary in her hands. Words simple, sometimes stumbling. She asked for continued guidance. For patience. For eyes to see what she had missed for so long. She thanked for Anna's small gains. She thanked for the clay face that had cracked open a door she hadn't realized was closed. Michael never joined her in the kitchen at dawn, but he began to pause longer in front of the painting on the living room wall. Sometimes he touched the frame lightly. Sometimes he simply looked. He did not pray aloud. He did not need to. The looking was enough that Anna's world expanded one thin layer at a time. She learned to identify the brightest window in the living room by turning toward it each morning. She tracked Michael's shadow when he walked past her chair in the evening. She smiled when Laura turned on the overhead light in the kitchen, not because she saw the fixture, but because the sudden warmth on her face felt like hello. One Saturday morning in early spring, the three of them sat together in the living room. Sun poured through the window, falling across the rug in wide gold stripes. Anna sat on the floor with a fresh block of clay. Her fingers moved slowly, shaping something new. Another face, smaller, simpler, but still careful. Laura passed through with a laundry basket, stopped in the doorway. Michael appeared behind her, coffee mug in hand. He leaned against the frame. Laura set the basket down. They both watched their daughter work. Anna spoke without lifting her head. "Mom, I'm here. Thank you for telling me about the Virgin Mary that day in the basement." Laura felt heat rise behind her eyes. She crossed the room, sat on the floor beside Anna. Michael followed, lowered himself carefully to the rug. The three of them stayed there, Anna shaping clay, parents simply present, sunlight warm on their shoulders, painting and sculpture watching from the wall. No one spoke again for a long time. No one needed to. The house held peace. Not perfect, not without questions, but real. And for the first time in years, the three of them felt fully in the same room together. 6 months had passed since the clay face first appeared on the kitchen table. The Whitaker house carried a different quiet now, not the heavy silence of routine, but the gentle one that settles when people have learned to stay present together. Mornings began the same, coffee brewing, talking clock announcing the hour, Anna moving sure-footed from bedroom to kitchen, but small things had changed. Laura knelt at the kitchen table each dawn with her mother's rosary. 5 minutes, sometimes 7. Words simple, sometimes halting. She asked for continued light in Anna's eyes, for patience on hard days, for gratitude that spilled over when she least expected it. She thanked for the sculpture that had cracked open something long closed inside her. Michael never joined those early prayers. He did not need to. He rose a little later, poured coffee, stood in the doorway sometimes, and watched Laura's bowed head. He said nothing. The watching was his way of being there. He paused longer now in front of the painting on the living room wall. Our Lady in soft blue, hands joined, gaze steady. He touched the frame once in a while, lightly, as though greeting an old friend he had only recently remembered, and his vision remained limited. Legally blind, functionally dependent on her cane, on touch, on sound. But the gains held. Light and shadow were certain. She turned toward any open window without thinking. Large forms appeared in good light. The dark rectangle of a doorway, the pale square of a television screen, the moving bulk of a person crossing the room. Movement registered if someone passed close. Her head followed slowly, tracking what her eyes could only hint at. Faces stayed blurred. Reading stayed impossible. Navigation without help stayed impossible. Yet every outline felt like a quiet hello from a world she had never known. She kept sculpting. The art teacher sent home fresh blocks of clay each Friday. Anna shaped animals again. Rabbits with long ears she remembered from the feel of their fur at a school petting day. Birds with wings she pressed thin and delicate. Then faces. Simpler ones now. A classmate's round cheeks. Her teacher's high forehead. Each piece carried the same slow care she had given the Virgin Mary. She worked on the living room rug most Saturdays, sunlight falling across her hands in warm stripes. One such morning Laura passed through with clean laundry, stopped in the doorway. Michael appeared behind her, coffee mug in hand. He leaned against the frame. They both watched Anna shape something new. Another face, small and careful. Anna spoke without lifting her head. "Mom, I'm here. Thank you for telling me about the Virgin Mary that day in the basement." Laura felt heat rise behind her eyes. She set the basket down, crossed the room, sat on the rug beside her daughter. Michael followed. He lowered himself carefully to the floor. The three of them stayed there, Anna's fingers moving on the clay, parents simply present, sunlight warm on their shoulders, painting and sculpture watching from the wall. No one spoke again for a long time. No one needed to. The house held peace. Not perfect. Not without questions. Bills still arrived. Work shifts still ran long. Anna still needed help crossing streets, reading homework, finding her way in new places. Yet the three of them felt fully in the same room together more often than before. Laura went to Sunday Mass regularly now. She took Anna most weeks. Michael came along sometimes, sat beside them in the pew, listened to the readings, watched Anna turn her face toward the choir when voices rose. At the entrance stood the plaster statue of Our Lady. Anna always stopped, always reached up, always traced the carved face slowly. "It's her," she said every time. Laura rested a hand on her shoulder. "I know." They entered together. Visitors noticed the sculpture and painting on the living room shelf. A neighbor asked once, standing in the doorway with a casserole dish, "Who made this face?" "My daughter," Laura answered. "Anna." The neighbor glanced toward the kitchen where Anna sat listening to an audio book. "But isn't she blind?" "Yes, she is." The neighbor looked back at the clay face, serene eyes, gentle smile, mantle draped soft over the head. "And she made this." Laura smiled small. "She did." The neighbor stayed quiet a moment, then nodded once and carried the dish to the kitchen. No one in the family tried to explain it anymore. Coincidence, gift, miracle, faith resurfacing through inherited beads and a child's hands. They did not need the label. They only needed to keep showing up for morning coffee, for evening stories, for sunlight on the rug, for quiet Saturdays when clay moved under small fingers and parents sat close on the floor. Anna finished her newest piece that afternoon. A small face, simple, calm, familiar. She set it beside the first one on the shelf. Laura watched her do it. Michael watched too. "Thank you," Anna said again, this time to both of them. Laura reached over, touched her daughter's hair. "You're welcome." The three of them stayed there a while longer. Sunlight moved across the room. The painting watched from the wall. The clay faces watched from the shelf. And somewhere in the quiet between them, something gentle continued to unfold. Before I finish this story, I want to invite you to something close to my heart. If Anna's quiet listening and the small, steady changes in her family have touched you, if they remind you that even in darkness, grace finds a way, come join our prayer community. People from many places gather here to pray the rosary together, share intentions, and hold one another in faith. Click the button below to become a channel member and pray with us. Your presence strengthens the chain. And if this account reached something in you, if it stirred hope or wonder or simple gratitude, do one thing for me. In the comments, write the word clay. Just that. The simple material a blind girl used to shape something no one could explain. Every time I see it, I'll know another heart believes these quiet miracles still happen. If you have experienced a grace from Our Lady, something large or something small, share it below. Your words may be the encouragement someone else needs today. Pass this along to a friend who could use a reminder that no darkness is final when heaven reaches through a child's hands. May the Virgin Mary continue to watch over you, your family, and every place where light is beginning to appear. Amen.